Who knows why these things happen, but as you will soon find out, for some reason, technology screwed me over on this week's episode of the podcast, and rather than record my audio through this lovely mic that you're hearing me talk through now, it recorded it through my speaker on my Mac. Now, this doubly sucks because it sounds like I'm in a restaurant, but also I recorded this podcast with somebody else in the room with me, and sometimes you can hear them clicking away on their mouse, which is no fun for anyone. So I just wanted to record this opening and apologize. That's all I can do. I don't not want to put this episode out because obviously we put a lot of time into it and I had a guest on as well. If you can't listen to it, I understand. Hopefully you'll forgive me. I think this is the first time it's ever happened, but let's just get on with the show. I'm going to take my head and slam it into a brick wall. Hello and welcome to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Show. My name is Simon Miller and this is a pro wrestling show. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Simon, there's a lot of episodes this week, but look, you have the power to listen or not listen. This is what has been bestowed upon you since the day of your birth. But look, we had loads of stuff to talk about. On Monday, we had Jim Sterling on. Make sure you go and check out. On Tuesday, you have to do the flagship show, as I'm now calling it. The main one, the big one. And then, look, I have a Patreon, as you know, if you listened to the show before. Patreon.com/Simon Miller 316. And I only do get loads of rewards like t-shirts, podcasts, postcards, loads of stuff. You can go check it out now just by going to that link. Like I say, you can also come on the podcast. And so by a sheer chance, I don't even know what you would call it, the person that is going to come on today has been to that episode of Raw around about 12, 16, 17 hours ago that everybody is talking about. So first and foremost, I welcome to the podcast for the first time my man Derek. Derek, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Oh no, dude, thank you for the support, man. I appreciate it. Now look, we had planned this anyway, and you may have said this and I got confused. That happens to me to me a lot. But you were at the show. What, was 20 hours ago? Whatever it was. You went to Monday Night Raw in Texas last night, right?
Yes, my wife and I, we went to the show last night, and I thought, from what I saw live, I thought it was great. I mean, we got there right, from the pre-show. I guess they do the main event show from 6:30 till 7 my time, 30 minutes prior, and then the show, and then the dark match. And I thought, man, I thought it was great from what I saw. I guess, like I talked to you earlier, I didn't have to worry about the commentating, so I thought it was a great show.
Well, let's start with the thing that everybody wants to discuss. I was able to have a quick conversation with somebody who was listening to the live show we did. We recorded this on Tuesday just to break the fourth wall in there. So earlier I was doing the live show on YouTube, youtube.com/Report Rules. As you know, you can join me live. And they kind of said to me briefly that when they saw the big explosion angle at the start between Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman as they careered through the Raw entranceway, for a split second, they were a bit like, because obviously they did that thing where it went on a little bit too long. This was intentional, to where they kind of did create this atmosphere that maybe something had gone wrong. I think deep down we all know that it hadn't, but that's the cool thing about wrestling. Your body, once you do buy in and once you invest, will let you believe. So just give me an on-the-ground live experience of that, man, because I'm guessing at first you're like, cool, no 15 to 20 minute opening segment of somebody talking. That's always nice. And then you get that cool angle as well. So yeah, just kind of give me a play-by-play, a rundown of, how you felt when you saw it's Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley, when they went into the crowd, right up to that big explosion, because it must have been pretty cool to see in person.
Yeah, it was cool. And where we actually sat, we were right there by the ramp. So we're only about a few rows away from where they, crashed into the stage. But yeah, I was actually expecting Shane McMahon to come out to start the show, but I was surprised to see, Braun and Bobby starting off the show. I thought it was great, and I agree with you. I think it went a little too long. When they crashed into the, I guess they were just pyro. My first thought was like, this is cool, and this is something different. They've never done this before, to start off the show. And I think what I've read on Twitter and from your ups and downs is, I guess Corey Graves, made him feel more realistic when he kind of cussed on air. So I'm sure for you as a viewer at home, it was a little bit, made him feel more real.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the only, I don't like to use the word problem because I really like them saying that. Like, it was a bit teenager, but that's okay, right? It was different. That's the main thing. I will say, just to be, we don't usually do this, but to be super critical, I think it would have been better if somebody had said to Corey, react how you would react, no holds barred. You can don't say the F word, but no holds barred, just because when it was delivered, it was just maybe a minute or two, not a minute or two, but 30 seconds after you'd have that reaction. Do you know what I mean? Like it was. I think they'd overthought it a little bit, but I'm being well too pedantic here. What was kind of the reaction of people around you as well? Because
I think the crowd of Dallas last night was. I think the whole crowd was into it the whole show, and when that happened, they were chanting. I don't know if I can cuss on your air on your show.
You can cuss.
They're obviously chanting the holy shit. They were chanting this is awesome. And I think that one time they were chanting thank you Dallas. They're thanking thanking the paramedics for helping Ron and Bobby Lashley. But I thought it was great. The crowd was into it. But another thought I had was like, well, they do the pyros for that stuff, make it look real. To my mind, I was like, why can't they just bring those pyros back for entrances?
Well, dude, why? But the thing is, maybe this is part of that transition, right? I mean, maybe I'm being way too positive, but if they have brought it back for an angle like this, maybe it's a conversation that's going on backstage.
Yeah, and that's what I thought. I mean, hopefully that will come back soon. I think that's that makes the wrestlers' entrance a lot more exciting.
Spectacular, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what about the people around you? Like, was anybody? I'm not going to say anybody was freaking out. Like, I'm not going to be ridiculous here. But did you feel like? Did it feel like a moment? Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes you're part of the crowd and you get that wave.
It felt like. To me, I think it felt like everybody was shocked. I felt like everybody was surprised that it happened because nobody was expecting that. Everybody, I think, at least for me, and I'm sure a lot of people around me were just expecting a quick match or something's going to happen where it's a no contest. Not like that. Where they both get knocked out somewhere in the ring and they just can't get up anymore, or it just ended pretty quickly. But no one there was expecting what happened, and I felt like the crowd around us were shocked for the most part. I don't think I'm sure there was some around me that thought it was it's still real to them, but from my point of view, I think the crowd was. I think they just felt like it was different. It was different. It was a shocking moment for most of us around there because you don't really see that anymore in WWE.
And do you credit it to Paul Heyman given all? Because that's the other argument. I think I don't think the whole show was a Paul Heyman vehicle, but I think certain elements like that 100% were because he's the guy, as far as I know, who knows for sure, but the internet wrestling community will tell you he is the guy that pitches ideas like the ring explodes when Brock Lesnar and Big Show do a suplex and things like that. He likes bombastic, over the top visuals, and you can see why. Right? It works really well.
Yeah, and I thought. I don't know if how much of the show was Paul Heyman. I don't know how much he was behind it, but that felt like a Paul Heyman type segment. The way it was set up. To me it kind of felt like with was it Brock Lesnar and Big Show back when on SmackDown when they broke the ring. It kind of felt like that. Where Taz said the exact same thing that Corey Graves said, but I think with Taz said a little bit. He said it right away. Then what Corey Graves said it, but to me, it felt like a Paul Heyman show for the most part. I'm sure he had to work around the commercials. As I heard on your ups and downs.
Yeah. How's actually that's a great segue, man. How is that live? Because I do know that they changed it a little bit this week. I know that there was some wrestling between the Elias and the Miz match. But can you tell me what happened? So, for example, right, we get the Viking Raiders versus the New Day. Samoa Joe comes out, attacks Xavier Woods. Kofi Kingston comes out. Then we reset and we got the 6-man tag. We cut to advert. What happens in that advert? What do you see?
Did y'all guys see Samoa Joe and the Viking Raiders going back to the back and then Samoa Joe doing his promo?
No, I didn't see that at all.
So you didn't see Samoa's promo then? Okay. Well, they like I said, it was a quick match. The first two pinfalls, or not that first pin, or that was a pinfall. Sorry, it was a interruption by Samoa Joe. Yeah. That was pretty quick, and then they went. Samoa Joe and the Viking Raiders, they went back to the back, and I guess one of the announcers said that it just got confirmed in the back that this is going to be a 6-man tag match, which I already knew that was going to happen because you can kind of predict this stuff, and especially
you got to obey the commercial. Obey the commercial.
Yes. but Samoa, they came back up to the stage, and then Samoa Joe, cut a promo. I thought that was live, but I guess it wasn't. For you guys, for people watching at home, And then they got back in the ring, and I guess the bell rung, and I guess that's when it came back on air.
Right, so you literally just got a Samoa Joe promo and the announcement that they're going to have this match.
Yes. Yeah, so I guess y'all didn't see that part then.
No. That's what I mean. These are the things that happen away. What about when did they do it later on? I mean, I'm jumping around a bit. We'll secure this up in a second. What about
did they do it with the new? Did they do it with the new? Was it who was it? The 2 out of 3 falls. I can't think of who it was.
The Miz and Elias. Yeah. What did they? Because I know they did fight a little bit in the what do you call it? In the commercial, because they put that up on WWE.com, or on their Twitter feed, I should say. So what happened? Okay. What happened in that one? But also, what happened during, after you had the Ricochet AJ Styles tease and the match started again? What did you get in those 2 segments?
I'm trying to think about the Ricochet and because I know with the Ricochet had his foot under the ring, and I'm assuming after they were talking about it. I guess they went to commercial during that time.
That's right. Once we'd done that, we moved on.
They just kept going back and forth with the referees. They're trying to figure out what's going on, even though they just showed the replay on the Titantron. But I guess that's all we saw. It just took a while for the match to reset. Go ahead.
I guess because it's really awkward on television, as we've talked about a lot, because you can just see it's really transparent. Is it awkward in the arena though? Like, does it feel awkward, or does it feel like it flows?
Well, I mean, to me, it felt kind of. I mean, to me, I kind of felt awkward. I mean, I didn't like the way it was set up. I think they could have just made Ricochet win clean there, and then AJ can turn heel that way. But to me, it just felt weird. I mean, the crowd around me was, they were into it. They were excited when they said this match was going to be restarted, and everybody started cheering because they didn't want AJ to keep the title. They were all cheering for Ricochet, but it was. To me, it felt awkward. I didn't like the way it was set up, but I mean that's just on my end. But I mean, I enjoyed it for the most part. But I in my mind, I said, I bet you this is where they're going to commercial. This is the commercial part right here.
Yeah, and you don't want that to smack you around the face. Basically, is my point. That always feels it just feels a bit weird, doesn't it? You're like, well, when you're booking around an ad break, I always think it's a bad idea. Let's focus on the good, though. Did you foresee the AJ Styles turn coming? Because really, I mean, I don't actually think it was WWE's plan. They kind of just fell into it. But they had been teasing this for, the last few weeks. I would guess, this is just me speculating, I would guess that it was Paul Heyman that sat down and went, no, do this. Do this. Like, it's a really good idea. I mean, obviously, it did react well because you got the best kind of heel turn reaction where everybody cheers in the arena, but then actually when the story sets in, they start to boo. I love that. That's the perfect heel turn. You get the shock reaction, and then you get, oh, no, wait, don't beat up our guy reaction, which means WWE has done their job perfectly. But walk it through it. Again, you were there, man. Just let me know how it was for you.
Yeah, I knew AJ was eventually going to turn. I didn't think he would do it last night, but when he was kind of teasing what he did last week, I think he shook Ricochet's hand. I thought last week I was thinking maybe AJ's going to punch Ricochet right here and turn heel. So, but it happened last night instead because I don't think WWE was going to do it 2 weeks in a row where they do the exact same ending where they shake hands and it goes off air. So I kind of felt a little bit like, I bet you AJ's going to turn around and punch Ricochet. And it happened. And like you said, WWE did a good job when it comes to a proper heel turn. You cheer AJ Styles at the beginning, but you don't want him to beat up a person that you also like, which is Ricochet. I mean, if they did it to someone that they don't care about, then you wouldn't have the same reaction, I think.
Exactly, and they did. They definitely hit more home runs than they struck out last night. So overall, dude, let's do an overall feel of the kind of thing. I mean, you got a good episode of Raw. I don't think there's any two ways about that. But again, it's always a different experience when you're there. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to actually make this distinction because when you have a great opening like that, but more importantly, when you have a great finish like that, you're obviously going to walk away feeling good. Because even if the 2 hours in between were rubbish, you're going to get that adrenaline high from seeing, quite a big story turn with AJ Styles and the club performing and everything like that. But as much as you can remember sort of on a segment by segment basis, I mean, because obviously the most important thing about this episode is, has Paul Heyman sunk his teeth into it? Was this hitting the reset button? Are we going to come out the back of Extreme Rules and, finally get a WWE product? Is that how you saw it? Or, is this just a weird temptation of fate? Like, what do you think it is?
I think maybe, because we did just have, the Fyter Fest on Saturday. Maybe answer to that because they know how well that was. And Paul, if this is becoming Paul Heyman's first official show as I guess was he this title executive director for Raw? Uh, if it to me it felt different. This Raw felt different than it has been. I know, and that you still have to play in with the ad breaks. That I guess how Vince wants it, where he doesn't want wrestling during the ad breaks. I know he did the best he could with that. That's how I saw it, is that they gave Paul Heyman a script, or some type of structure to work around with, and he did it. And to me, Raw just felt different from beginning to end. I mean, I was into the show the whole time. I don't know how it was back, watching from on TV, but it was different. It wasn't like the beginning part. There was 2 wrestling matches. We don't really get that on Raw. To start off with, you usually get a boring 20-minute promo with the exact same thing you see every week, and then you go on to a short 5-minute match that doesn't lead to anything. Either ruins another character or it doesn't build up anybody. When I watch wrestling, I like story. I mean, I like storytelling. I like how you call it, planting the seeds. I like all that. It keeps me invested in the product. And watching yesterday live, it kept me, invested in the product. I want to tune in next week on Raw to see what happens. And even tonight on SmackDown, I want to see, because tonight's will be Eric Bischoff's first official show. So we'll get to see if SmackDown feels a little different, because the past few weeks SmackDown's felt like a replay show for Raw.
Yeah, well, that's why I think tonight's episode, I mean, this is going live on Wednesday, we're recording this on Tuesday. That's why tonight's episode is so important, because a news story just popped up on my Google Updates. It said, Pro Wrestling Torch has come out and said that Heyman worked side by side with Vince McMahon last night in gorilla position. There was no signs of combativeness, but instead a cohesive understanding between the pair. Much of that was reflected in the product last night, which included shades of both Heyman and McMahon's fingerprints. So, fair play to Vince McMahon for having the wherewithal to let this information in. But now the real key, like you said, I mean, Raw's been a roller coaster for the last few weeks, but SmackDown has felt dead. So the real interesting thing is, Eric Bischoff is in, where I don't know where the hell it's being held, where maybe it's in Texas again, I don't know. But, I think we need to, it will take the wind out of the sails a little bit if we don't get that same, comeback on SmackDown. And I would argue, like I say, like you just said too, that has been in a worse state because it has just felt like Raw 1.5. So what I am hoping, again, around about 8 to 10 hours time, when it's all done and dusted, we can look back over this week and go, okay, let's open this up and see what we can do. And that excites me more than anything. Like, I think SmackDown right now really needs a bit of a kick up the rear and a rehab.
Yeah, and I think it could happen tonight on SmackDown, because last night I don't really keep up with the wild cards anymore, because I don't know who's on what show. And
also, you've only got one life as well. Why would you waste it doing such a thing?
Exactly. Well, we didn't see Roman, which he is a SmackDown star, but he's been on Raw almost every Monday. You didn't see Sami Zayn, you didn't see Kevin Owens.
Yeah, it's true. Tidied it up, right?
Yeah, and there's a few others that were on Raw that are usually on Raw. So I'm hoping that tonight on SmackDown that they will be on SmackDown and make the show feel a lot different from Raw. At least that's how I would do it. I put Roman on SmackDown since he's actually a SmackDown superstar. And I guess I don't know what Sami Zayn is or Kevin Owens is. I thought they were on separate brands, but put them on the same brand. I don't care.
I don't know. Nobody knows anymore. It's impossible to keep up. But no, I agree with you, though. There's definitely elements of change, and you can't base that just on 1 week, because again, you don't know what tomorrow holds, and we could easily, there's still been good parts that have happened over the last few weeks that have then been undone suddenly. So you have to give them the benefit of the doubt, but also remember where we've come from. But either way, I think it was a healthy step in the right direction. There's still stuff we need to sort out, the commercial breaks. Let me know what you thought about this. I thought the whole Alexa Bliss, Carmella, and Nikki Cross thing has kind of started to feel a little bit odd. Like, the story doesn't really, I don't know, to me it just doesn't really piece together, because it kind of feels like now we're comparing old storylines with whatever this new era's called. So I think that needs a little bit of tightening up. But otherwise, I think, going forward, everyone seems in good shape. Yeah,
I think everything is good for the most part. I mean, I agree with you with the Alexa Bliss segment and the Nikki Cross. Hopefully, I'm hoping that Nikki turns on Alexa, but I mean, they're still playing it out as Alexa's going to turn on Nikki, and then maybe set up a Alexa versus Nikki feud up to SummerSlam. I like Bayley as the SmackDown champion. It wouldn't make. I kind of want Alexa to be champion, because it would make sense for Nikki Cross to get involved with that and have Nikki go over at SummerSlam. with the title, because they haven't really played much with Bayley as champions. It's feel like more of like a third wheel type feeling with Bayley in that title. So I mean, she's just in the middle of Alexa and Nikki feud. So I would put the title on Alexa and then give the title to Nikki at SummerSlam and make Nikki an official SmackDown star that way. But to go to your commercial stuff, you were talking about that. I've been watching some old Raw episodes from the Ruthless Aggression era and the Attitude era. It seemed like they were able to have commercials during matches, and when you come back from come back from commercial break, they would give you a replay of what happened during the commercial. Why can't we just go back to that? I mean, I commercial. You have to have commercials. That's understandable, but why can't we just do what we did back then? Why make it so complicated? Because it's to me, it's getting kind of old. I'm getting tired of the 2 out of 3 falls, or these DQs, and then start the match again with 6-man tags or 8-man tags, or even whatever they do.
I think it's just overthinking a problem. That's all it is. It's creating a problem that doesn't exist and then trying to fix it. Because you're right. I mean, not only could you do that, what I can't understand is why couldn't you have a match, and then when that match is done, you cut to an advert, and then we come back from an advert, you cut to a backstage promo, or you cut to whoever's time it is to tell their story. So you could do something with the New Day versus the Viking Raiders. You can have that story, you end it, you go to commercial, you come back, and now we're focusing on AJ Styles and the club. Why can't we do that? Why do we have to make sure that it's inserted into the middle of narratives? And of course, the instant response to that is, matches are going to be really short. All the matches last night on Raw were short, apart even the main event. The main event, if they had a one block of fighting, which they didn't, they broke it up into 2. That would have been around 12 to 15 minutes, which is a long match. But in the end, we got a 2.5-minute match and an 8-minute match. Neither of those are long matches. If that's the kind of matches you're going to have, you can build adverts around that. And also, there's no problem with having one match that has an advert in the middle. But like you say, just come back with replays, and that's what the commentators are there to be your eyes and ears, so they can easily just fill you in.
Exactly. I mean, I posted this on my Twitter not too long ago. See, I don't know. I could just be overcomplicating my process, but the way I would do it is, like you said, have commercials in between matches. They don't have long matches in the first place. It's a 3-hour show, so you have plenty of time. If you need to make the commercial a little bit longer, make it a little bit longer. Just don't cut in during a short match. It doesn't make sense for people watching at home. And then for matches that last a little bit longer, cut through break and come back with the replay. I think that's pretty simple logic.
No, I think so. Do you think as well? I should have mentioned this earlier. Obviously, we broke a set. And in the past, when we've done angles to break sets, it means we get a new set. Do you think we could be doing that? Because it's about time, if we have got executive directors for Raw and SmackDown, and SmackDown's going to go to Fox, and, we do need to freshen up the presentation, the look of the show, which always helps. Because if you tune in and Raw looks different and it's Raw, that does something to your brain. Do you think it's that, or do you think this was done to, get a reaction, or do you think we get a new set next week?
I think we should get a new set. I think they're gonna have to get a new set anyways when SmackDown goes to Fox. I'd make it feel different, make it feel new. And I always felt that Raw and SmackDown should have different sets anyways. But we both grew up in the old days where Raw and SmackDown had different stages and all that. I don't know. Because like now we don't even back. Even before we don't even get an intro anymore like we used to with Across the Nation with the Ruthless Aggression era.
Of course, yeah. We always get cold opens these days. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't get openings anymore. We don't have to. If they're not gonna do pyro, that's fine. Give us an intro. Let the commentating, like Michael Cole, he's the head commentator. So get us into the show. What's coming up. Like JR used to do it. They would have the intro, and then of course they have the pyro, and then JR said we're live here, and Dallas, Texas, and blah blah blah, and it always got me pumped for the show. They don't do that anymore. They usually just they do their signature intro, and then it goes to Michael Cole talking, and then you got a promo, and you don't really get hype up for stuff like that. I think they should go back to that. To me, for me, it got me into the show. Watching it back in the day.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
absolutely. And also, you could relate to the commentators more as well. That's the other thing. They did become, because they became your, almost like the part of yourself that couldn't be there to fill stuff in. And when they do that, you trust the commentators more, then you believe more, you buy into the stories more. It's like it's a complete package. That's why the commentators exist, to act as the things that you can't see because you're just a dude or a girl sat home on your sofa. But look, hopefully we do get there. The commentary wasn't great last night, but it was better than it has been, and they did take some risks, which I always appreciate. What have you thought? I mean, because obviously the big two questions actually, because the big conversation has been, recently AEW is the best and WWE has been terrible. I mean, you can go with that either way, but just give me 2019 so far. We're basically just over halfway through the year. What has been your take on it in general? I do think we're going through some kind of a shift at the moment, given a Fyter Fest on Saturday, for example, and now we're here still talking about other things. So yeah, what is your what's been your take on the year? Has it been a good year? Has it been a bad year? Is the second half of the year going to be better than the first half of the year? I mean, WWE must have done something to keep you interested, because you parted with your hard-earned cash to go to a 3-hour episode of Raw last night.
Yeah, I've always been a WWE fan. Even when WCW was around. I mean, I used to watch both of them. I think this year, I think the beginning of this year, I think it's been kind of lackluster for the most part. It seems like they hit the reset button every single week. They kept changing the storylines. With the Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey story seemed to change every week. They wanted to go one way. Triple H and Stephanie got involved in that story, and I was hoping that kept on going, but it changed next week. Vince McMahon came in, and that he went away the next week with that storyline. So I think the first half of this year, I think it's been kind of lackluster. I don't think they knew what direction they want to go to. But I think with AEW now, WWE's not stupid. Vince is not stupid. He knows what's coming. He sees the product. He's not gonna, not pay attention to a competition, especially someone that has a mainstream television. They're going to be on TNT, and that we haven't had a mainstream wrestling company be on TV, a major network, since WCW. And I think, hopefully, this is me hoping, is that they see that and they put out a better product. And I'm sticking with WWE. Like you said, I paid, whatever, how much money I paid to see Raw for 3 hours, knowing that the product has been stale. I still support the guys and the women that are part of that company. I mean, they're doing a job. Those are their lives. They, that's how they make their money. That's how they feed their family. I mean, I want to support them as much as I can, even if the product is stale. And the same with AEW. I want to support them as well, because you want good wrestling on our television. We want both. We want all wrestling companies, all promotions to do well. We don't want any promotion to fail. So I'm hoping that AEW will bring WWE's bring their game a little bit higher. Hopefully, like they showed it yesterday, I believe. I feel like Raw was a lot better than it was, as it has been since WrestleMania, in my opinion.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, no, absolutely. If not, maybe even better than it was then, depending on how you look at it. But no, totally, man, 100%. Have you been keeping up with AEW stuff as well?
Yeah, actually, I have. I don't know a lot of the wrestlers at AEW yet. I don't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling or Ring of Honor, Impact, as I like to, because I just like wrestling. I just like, that's always been my thing ever since I was little. But yeah, I've been paying attention with AEW. I've obviously got Jon Moxley, as he's the number one right now. I feel, and I thought Fyter Fest was actually pretty good for the most part. I didn't really care about the pre-show, except for the tag team match that they had. I think AEW is doing great, and I hope they succeed. I hope TNT, when they get on the show in October, I hope it's a big success, because we as wrestling nerds, we want to, this is what we want. We've been wanting something like this, from ever since WCW and WWF back in the day. We want good wrestling. Good competition is good for all of us. I feel.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think it's something like you say that has been missing from wrestling for ages, which is why I can't really figure out. There's still a contingent, like especially after Fyter Fest at the weekend, there is still a contingent that absolutely want to see one company succeed and the other one die, and that just seems baffling. I mean, it seems baffling to me from both a entertainment and humanistic perspective, because if a company dies, you're going to get what we had in 2001, where there's a bunch of wrestlers who are just wandering around aimlessly because they have nowhere to work anymore. But also, the best thing about the last few days is Fyter Fest, like you say, not the best show that AEW's put on, but very entertaining all the same. And to get here on a Tuesday and actually waking up and, in terms of my own sort of social space, have a load of people tweeting me saying, oh, Raw was amazing, Raw was great, doesn't it? That's a much better environment, I think, than the usual, oh, what a pile of crap. So you've got two companies, and I know that WWE's still got a long way to go to build that trust back up. But right now, at least, you've got two major companies, and by October, AEW will be on a major network as well. And if they can keep pushing each other and keep raising each other's games up, everyone is just going to enjoy it more. Because look, all these naysayers that hated Raw are now back on the train that quickly, simply because we got 3 hours. There was some crap in there too, but mostly we got 3 hours of good wrestling. And it kind of goes to show that 3 hours is always going to be difficult, but when you do get it right, when you pace the show out, when you bring more people in, you've got characterization, narratives, and a cool payoff at the end with AJ Styles, you can make it work. It is doable. It is there.
Exactly. I mean, WWE has enough talent to have even a longer show if they wanted to. I don't want them to have a longer show, but they have enough. Yeah. They have enough talent. I mean, they have enough talent to put on a good show. They have enough talent to have a story for each segment and not feel like it's they're just like fillers. I know, and with AEW coming, I feel like that's going to happen. I mean, if yesterday it kind of felt felt that way to me. But then again, it's the first Monday with Paul Heyman in charge as executive director. So, anything, next week we could be saying that, what a crap show that was.
Hey, we could, of course we could. You never know, but you could do though, right? Like it's still early days in the comeback trail.
Exactly. And I'm hoping that, like I said, I'm hoping that AEW in October, I hope it brings WWE to bring their A game and vice versa. I mean, AEW's Fyter Fest wasn't all, it was good. It wasn't all that great, but it was different. So that's what made it, seem so. I think it seems great, fantastic. The show was really good because it was different. It's different from WWE, and WWE is going to be different from AEW, and that's what we need as wrestling fans. We need two different companies to feel different, and with different, you have different stars, different talent. We're going to see different people on our television 3 days a week, and I think that to me, I'm excited for it.
I agree. One thing we should have talked about, and I didn't because it really has divided people, is the Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch relationship. Now, it was very schmaltzy. There's no point pretending otherwise. It was very cringy. I think that's a fair word to put in there. But cringy doesn't necessarily mean you don't like it. You can have a cringy thing, but it still, it still works. So that's how I came down. I was watching it through gritted teeth, but I was like, well, I think they know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like there's a bit of a wink and a nudge. But, I know you only saw that on a big screen, but you also saw, we should talk about all the pregnancy stuff as well, which we will. But just let me know how that went as well, because obviously Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch really are and Roman Reigns, but, he wasn't on this show. They are they're the top guys in the company right now. They just are. And it feels interesting to me that they're kind of now dropped down the card a little bit to kind of let this AJ Styles Ricochet stuff sign, which is good. They should do that. I don't think anybody saw this coming, say, post-WrestleMania 35, and we didn't even know about the relationship then, as far as I know. But it is a bit weird how it's, segued so quickly from reality into the world of make-believe. But yeah, again, because you were there and you're getting sort of a first-hand experience from what actual, WWE fans think. I mean, yeah, how did it go down? Like, because it's definitely divided people from a television point of view.
From what we saw live, I guess it was different because you had a lot of people around you. I just found it funny. I thought it was more of a comical type segment.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But to me, I feel like Seth is more comfortable than Becky when it comes to this putting the relationship on television. I don't think Becky is as comfortable as Seth is. But I will say that Becky did seem a lot more comfortable than she did last week. So maybe she's coming coming a little bit. She's trying to get more comfort with this. I don't know. Like last week, I thought it was kind of cringy a little bit, but this week, last night was. To me, I thought it was just comical. I thought I laughed. So I was laughing. So I guess I say I enjoyed it a little bit.
What about Mike Kanellis being destroyed by his wife?
You have the crowd going ooh and all that stuff. I just find it funny. I didn't really care for it because this is the first time they've been on Raw TV, and I don't remember how long. So I just found it funny. I think I found it more funny because the crowd around me, because they were laughing, so I was laughing too. So I thought it was comical.
I liked it. I didn't know what to make of it at the time, but now I've had a few conversations with people about it and let it sit in. I think I like it because it's just so stupid, but in a good way. Like it's an interesting story. I do want to know where they're going to go with it, right? Like, and I like to see Mike Kanellis and Maria back on the TV. I think they're quite good. Quite good performers. So I actually thought it's one of those things. We've been asking people to be featured on TV, and if this works and it creates an interesting narrative that I can enjoy, I think I'm all right with it. I was just thinking about it earlier. It's like it promoted so much conversation, and I think the real key was it wasn't one of those angles that died a death because it was so horribly acted. Like they're the ones that I don't like. This was. Everybody played their role here perfectly. Mike Kanellis looked shocked. Maria Kanellis is really good at being, whatever you want to describe that character. At that point, Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch were kind of background personas, so it doesn't matter. See, I think it actually benefited everybody. It wasn't awkward to watch. It was shocking and weird, but it wasn't awkward.
Yeah, I thought it was like I think the reason why I think a lot of people liked it too, it was different because you don't really see that on you don't really see them on WWE TV. So it felt different and it wasn't repetitive like we usually get every week. So, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I thought it was comical. Hopefully next week they follow up with that. But WWE, has before, just dropped the story, the week after. So I'm hoping that they continue. I'm hopeful for that story because I think it'll be, that'd be another, I guess, a comical type segment that we can have during Raw during a 3-hour show. So. And we need that sometimes. We need comic when it comes to a 3-hour Raw.
Yeah, you got to pace it out, and you got to make sure that every segment is different from the last. There's a video going up on What Culture about this because after Fyter Fest, everyone's like, "What is AEW just going to be like hardcore wrestling now?" It's like, no, they're just letting you know they will do hardcore wrestling, but they'll also have the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega dressing up as Street Fighter, and they'll do dumb, street fights like they did in the opener. Like they're trying to be diverse and give you a choice, make sure they appeal, dependent on what your tastes are. And I think good wrestling does that as long as you have that serious core running through it. That kind of defines the Attitude Era. One thing we should talk about as well, given that you were there, what was it like attendance-wise? Because that's been the controversy over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, Stomping Grounds was bad. Raw and SmackDown apparently were even worse. But apparently it's quite packed, right? Like a good 10,000 people.
Yeah, it was. We had what I saw from where I was, and actually, I recorded the whole thing because I see other wrestling shows on YouTube that they always trash WWE because they can't fill up their seats. But to me, it looked like the arena was almost sold out for the most part, and they did have some section where the hard camera was on the very top section that was tarped off, so people weren't sitting there. But most of the whole arena was almost pretty much full. And maybe after we're done with this podcast, I'll tag you on the video that I recorded.
Yeah, do it, man.
I wanted to show it's being filled because I think a lot of people that take pictures and send it to these these wrestling channels on YouTube, they're taking these pictures an hour before the show to make it look like there's nobody there. Where I was, that has always been a good crowd anyways. But it was the whole arena was packed. And everybody was into it too. Everybody was into the show. So it made Raw feel awesome. It felt like a great show when you have the whole arena almost sold out. All I don't know how many 10,000 12,000 people there chanting and getting into the show. It makes the show a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, of course it does, man. Fans, again, I always go back to this, it's boring now. The Hulk Hogan versus The Rock, WrestleMania 18. If you turn the sound off, you're like, meh. You put the sound on, you're like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. It just gets you buzzed.
Exactly. Yes.
As you are in Texas too, are you going to the G1 next week or Impact? They're there as well, or did you save your entertainment dollars for WWE?
I say that because I bought these WWE tickets back in April.
Yeah.
And I would love to go see the New Japan show and Impact. Is just I can't afford it.
Oh no, dude! There's only so much. Of course, man. There's only so much money, dude. And I imagine we don't have to get into it, but WWE is expensive. I know this. I've been to shows. They're not. Well, it's just live entertainment. Live entertainment these days are expensive because the world changed, and that's where a lot of these companies make their money now. Is on the live gate.
It can get. I mean, it can get pretty pricey. I mean, where we sat because we've been wanting to sit closer because that was the first time I actually ever sat on the floor, so that was kind of cool. So, but yeah, it does get kind of pricey. It's a good thing they only come maybe once every 6 months. So gives me time to save up.
Of course, dude. But you absolutely lucked out though. Like to decide to sit on the floor with that opening angle. I mean, dude, like that's the world smiling down on you. You lucked out. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I want to, given that there was a big shift last night, do you think Extreme Rules? I don't massively care about Extreme Rules right now. I care about Samoa Joe versus Kofi Kingston, and I think the Seth Rollins match is actually going to be odd in a good way. But given again, let's say this is a shift, and let's say we are going to head on a better path. Not necessarily Extreme Rules itself, but let's say the Monday after, so Raw 2 weeks on Monday. Do you foresee that as like when we hit this new dawn with WWE leading into SummerSlam? Like, can we actually get to a point now where all our criticisms and our complaints will go away? So we do get, the roster being used better. We do get storylines that actually mean something and don't die after a week just because they didn't pop a rating. I think to me the biggest piece of evidence, not necessarily tonight. I'll give them a couple of weeks because I don't know what the lay of the land is. If Rusev turns up on SmackDown at any point within the next 3 weeks, I would be like, okay, we're all good. We're all good. We're heading back in the direction that I want to go. Because I love the fact that Samoa Joe is in this position. Samoa Joe, especially last night when he choked Kofi Kingston out, which I thought was a great way to do it, I 100% believe him as a number one contender, which is doubly amazing because really the only thing he did leading into this was lose to Ricochet. And he lost his title. So it goes to show that you can do it. But yeah, let's say, post Extreme Rules, not necessarily what do you expect, but what do you want as a WWE fan who, like you say, has invested and is staying up to date with it and giving them your money? That's the thing. That's a three-way street.
Well, I'm hoping the day after, the Monday after Extreme Rules, that we start getting into stories with. I'm hoping that they just have every segment have a story. It tells a story up to SummerSlam. Because I don't know what day SummerSlam's on, what day it is in August.
I think it's the 14th. I think it's Sunday the 14th.
The 14th. So and then Extreme Rule is on
14th.
I don't know what Extreme Rule is on. 14th as well. Okay, so I'm hoping
it's the sorry, no. It's 14th is Extreme Rules and the 18th is SummerSlam.
So we have over a month to tell stories, and I'm hoping that the Monday after Extreme Rules, that we get into proper storytelling.
Sorry, it's the 11th. Yeah. The 11th. It's 11th. So they have three. I'm going to work it out for you. I'm going to tell you 100%. So 1 week to they got 4 weeks. They do have 4 weeks. Yeah.
They still have plenty of time to have proper storylines, and they can probably carry the stuff they did last night and tonight on SmackDown and next week on Raw and SmackDown. They can carry that on after Extreme Rules, and as a fan, I'm just wanting good storytelling. That's all I ask for is good storytelling. I don't want, have a story I'm invested in for 2 weeks and then that third week it's dropped and goes to a different story because, for whatever reason. I just want good storytelling. And we haven't had that this year. I don't remember the last time we actually had good storytelling where it plays out through the whole pay-per-view cycle. It's been a while, I believe. I can't tell you when the last time we actually had a proper.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of did it with Becky, Charlotte, and Ronda, but I think they overproduced that too. I think they had a story; it was good, and they mostly stuck to it. But then they added a little bit here and a little bit there, and I think by the end of it, it's just like, okay, we've gone way too far. It always reminds me of the Bret Hart, Vince McMahon WrestleMania 26, 7, whatever the hell it was, not 27, but where we had the perfect story, the ultimate story in pro wrestling. And then all of a sudden we were adding in all these little bits. I'm like, dude, the story is in 1997 you screwed him over. That's it. That's the whole story. I don't need anything else. There's like 15 years worth of material here. So I think sometimes WWE get worried about how much time they have left, where really they can just let it play out. But I do think, I think this 4 weeks from Extreme Rules to SummerSlam, and don't forget SummerSlam is the second biggest pay-per-view of the year. I think that's going to be a really interesting month. And I'm hoping by the time we get past that, and, come September, you really do kind of start hinting at WrestleMania a little bit, not massively. I think we'll know more. My only worry is we get to Survivor Series, and if anybody pitches the idea of Raw versus SmackDown, I'm going to lose my mind because
you know that's going to happen.
But how?
Fox, because SmackDown's going to Fox, and they're still going to play it out that Raw and SmackDown are going to go head to head.
But what on earth could they possibly do to make you believe that? There's nothing. There is nothing.
There's nothing. This is going off topic a little bit. In my opinion, I think they should retire the pay-per-view, the Survivor Series, and just replace it with Money in the Bank. Because, Survivor Series is not what it once was. I think they should just retire that pay-per-view and just, don't have that pay-per-view anymore and just replace it with something else, like with Money in the Bank, and make that a November pay-per-view. And so don't have to worry about this Raw versus SmackDown stuff in November, because I think that's pointless.
Oh, it is now. There's no way. It's funny you said Money in the Bank. My brain did a little bit of, it sort of floated away, and I was like, wait a minute. Who is Money in the Bank? I was like, oh yeah, it's Brock Lesnar. How that story seems so far away now. Although talking about the SmackDown on Fox, that's when he's going to cash in. Of course he is. That just makes smart business sense. You tune in or you don't tune in and you miss a title change. Brock Lesnar comes back, beats whoever. It doesn't matter. He's Brock Lesnar. Like, no one at Fox who used to have UFC on their channels is going to go, don't put Brock Lesnar as your champion. They'll love that. They don't care he's not on every single week. He's a star. He's a mainstream star.
Exactly, and I figured that's when he's going to cash in, the first Friday on Fox. Yeah, because I try to stay positive. I'm like you. I try to stay positive when it comes to WWE, but sometimes you have that in the back of a mind what they may do that's going to annoy you a little bit. But I think that they may end up doing Brock Lesnar cash in the first Friday of SmackDown on Fox, and then they're going to do another maybe Roman versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, where Roman chases Brock Lesnar for the title again, but on SmackDown this time. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but like I said, I'm going to try to stay positive that doesn't happen. But I do see Brock Lesnar cashing in on that first Friday on Fox.
Yeah,
in October.
I think you'd be nuts not to do it. Some things just make sense. It would bump a rating and it would get people interested. And like I've said before, I like it when Brock Lesnar is on TV week to week. I really do. I think Brock Lesnar is great. I think he's underrated in many ways. He's one of the best he sells better than mostly anybody, not just in WWE, but all of wrestling. The only issue is he's never on television. You miss him. Like, I miss him now. And there is a way to benefit that. But the problem is he's been gone so long. At this stage, he has to be on week to week to balance it out.
Yeah, and I think didn't he sign another contract? I don't know if he signed a full-time contract or what, but
apparently he's signed till June next year. I mean, these are just rumors, of course, but yeah, apparently he's there till June next year. I would imagine it's on a not very many dates, and I honestly I don't see. I can just respect it. I respect the fact that he's been able to be such a good businessman, because you do have to put yourself first in those situations. It's just I don't know if it's a shame or not anymore when I think about it, because again, if they did do that on SmackDown, it would work. But I will say it is a shame that he takes so much. I don't mean Brock Lesnar himself, but he was the Universal Champion for so long, and because he was Mr. Money in the Bank, you want that stuff on television. It's a shame he takes that away from what we get. But hey ho, what are you going to do?
I think they could have built up Brock, prior to him with the title. They could have had him without the title. I mean, he's Brock Lesnar. He's gonna bring people to the arena no matter what. So you didn't have to put the title on him. With the Money in the Bank briefcase, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's not a main title, so he can pop up anytime and cash in. So I don't care about that part. If he wants to keep it all the way up to next year, that's fine too. But as long as they don't put the title on him and the title goes away for months and months, that I don't like. I mean, I don't mind Brock Lesnar. I mean, I liked him back then because he was on my television every week. So he was a beast. Even back then. I just hopefully when this new Fox thing comes in October, if they're going to use Brock Lesnar in a title a title story, that he's actually on the show, every week or every other week, instead of once every few months. And I think that kind of kills the title or kills the belt, in my opinion.
1 week that's going to be as well. The rumor is that that's the 4th, and the rumor is on the 2nd is when AEW's TV deal is going to launch as well. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that week? How crazy that will be? The amount that internet Twitter is going to go nuts. They're not going to be able to handle themselves.
Yeah, I know, and I feel bad for you because you're gonna get people saying that you're a WWE fanboy and an AEW fanboy and all that stuff. So you're gonna have ton of fun with that one.
The best thing about that, man, is the same, because I clock usernames. And there's a username that will call me a WWE fanboy. Will then watch, say, Fyter Fest pay-per-view, ups and downs, and they'll say, "Oh, you're an AEW fanboy," and I never reply because it's a waste of time. But I always want to go, which one is it? You can't have both. I'm either one or the other. The real shocking thing is that I'm actually a fanboy of all wrestling promotions, because as we've already talked about, why the hell would I want to invest in anything that was crap? Like, what a waste of my life. I'd rather everything was brilliant. I want Impact to be brilliant. I mean, just to sort of wrap things up, it's not a huge news story, but Impact apparently is all done with the Pursuit channel, which has now vanished from televisions in America, and they're going to be going to Access, which is quite interesting because Access has MMA, Access has New Japan, Access has Women of Wrestling, and now Access is going to have Impact too. So they're kind of 4 major combat sports. I don't think it's going to come a competitor like AEW or WWE or anything like that. But however, if you're someone that doesn't get burnt out on wrestling easily, I would presume they're going to put all these on whichever night. I think they're a Saturday night thing, the New Japan stuff. So, if on a Saturday night you don't want to go out and you can watch those 4 shows back to back, it may be a little bit overkill. Maybe it dilutes the audience a tad. But I think that's cool too. Like, Impact's a good product right now. And if they can get a better TV deal, then more power to them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've always wanted to get into Impact Wrestling. It's just that I didn't have the channel to watch it.
Exactly.
The only time I can watch it is doing the YouTube, YouTube clips or whatever. But I like to watch it on my TV. But if I'm able to access it on my cable, whatever I have Spectrum. So if I can access it on Spectrum, and then hey, I would be watching that too. I mean, like you said, I want all the promotions to do great. I don't want any wrestling promotion to fail. I mean, more wrestling is good for all of us, and good competition is great for all companies. Exactly. And hopefully they can, they can stay on what you said it was going to be on Access. Hopefully they can stay on that, and hopefully it will draw more eyes. I mean, I like wrestling. I see some clips on YouTube, and I like it. I just wish I can, sit down and watch it on my television at times. So hopefully this is one way I can do it.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Well, we'll see what's going to happen. It's going to be an interesting 2019. Like by, like I say, what are we in? July. On the 2nd as well. So July, August. So 3 months. 3 months time we will, be in the midst of whatever this AEW, WWE thing is going to be. We would have had All Out, whatever the hell it's called. So I'm excited. I think we're in a good place. And if WWE can use these next few months to ramp their product back up to where it's meant to be. And also the best thing then, if they do that, they would have stayed the course. And I guarantee the ratings will have bumped up a little bit as well. And not just through word of mouth, through genuine audience interest and getting back up to where they need to be.
Exactly. And I think, people watching Raw in October, they're going to say, well, let's see what AEW does on Wednesday. And then we watch that and say, we'll see what SmackDown does on Friday, see how they, counteract with that. People are going to tune in each, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to see what the other, product is doing to compete with each other. So I think more eyes will be on both products. I believe. I think they're going to see. Well, let's see what AEW is doing.
Oh yeah, my friend.
Compete with each other.
Damn right. I'm with you 100%. And on that positive note, we will start to wrap things up because I like it. I like ending on a positive note. It makes me happy. Is there anything else you want to throw out there or talk about? You got a Twitter and Instagram or anything like that, man?
No, I mean, if anyone out there wants to follow me on my Twitter, my Twitter name is NerdTalk27.
Love it.
I talk wrestling on there as much as I can. As much as work allows me to interact with there. I mean, I like talking wrestling. I mean, that's my thing. I've been watching wrestling since I was a kid. From the '90s up to now. There was that break in the mid 2000s, but I'm here to stay and watch it. Dude, no matter what.
You don't have to justify talking wrestling with me, my friend. I've made it my entire life. Which still makes me laugh when people go, Millie, you're such a nerd. You're such a mark. I'm like, yes, I'm aware. Like this is not news to me. Like I'm well aware of what I decided to do with my life. But hey ho, that is the internet for you. Well, look, Derek, thanks so much for joining me, man. I enjoyed this a lot. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your support too.
Of course, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to the next.
Hell yeah, man. And in the meantime, of course, you can head over to youtube.com/The Middle Report Rules, or you can search for Simon Miller, find my profile pic of me in my wrestling gear, and give the channel a subscribe. That's where you can watch more videos and watch these podcasts, should you so wish. If you are on Apple Podcasts or Google or whatever, make sure you give it 5 stars and a review. That's how more people find it. Patreon.com/Simon316 is the whole reason these exist to begin with, and how Derek came on today, so you can come on the podcast and get postcard videos, loads of stuff up there, so check it out. And I've got merchandise, should you care, wrestling merchandise, simonmiller.bigcartel.com. Other than that, look, just enjoy the week, enjoy the craziness of Raw. You'll be hearing this after SmackDown Live goes live, but hopefully we can have a nice chat about that in a few days as well. Thanks so much again, Derek, and thank you everyone for listening. I will talk to you all again very soon.